Welcome to Syntasa. In this video, we are going to review the basics required to create reports and dashboards using the built-in visualization tool within the Syntasa application. We'll review the requirements and steps to create a dashboard like this sample. The first requirement is having the table with the data we want to visualize. The data can be results generated from a notebook where we have created an external table or within a Syntasa app where we have generated an output table. In the Workspace section of the Syntasa application, we're navigating to a sample app with an output table. If you remember from previous videos or working with the Syntasa application, the gray boxes within a Syntasa app are where the tables are created. Clicking on the object, we see the database and the table names in the Details section. These are going to be important for the next steps in creating our reports and dashboards. To access the visualization tool within Syntasa, click on the main menu icon at the top left and click on the Dashboards menu. Here we'll be presented with the dashboard screen that will display our existing dashboard cards, which we will demonstrate how to create in another video. To access the visualization tool, click the second icon, Analytics. We first need to create a location where we will save our reports and dashboards. Click on the bottom section, File Browser. This will bring up a folder structure menu where we can create our location to save our data. In the box on the left, right-click and select New Folder to create a new folder. For our sample dashboard, let's call this Tutorial. If we select that folder, we can then create additional subfolders. One recommendation is to create a standard subfolder structure such as metadata, reports, and dashboards folders so we have them available when we create the respective artifacts. If we want to be able to share these reports and dashboards with other users or allow them to work on them, we need to share these folders. With the tutorial folder selected, right-click again and click on Share. Then under the Roles tab, it's easiest to set the permission level of the users with the value Read, Write, Delete, Share. Once selected, click the Share button, and we've now shared our folder. The next thing we need to do is create the metadata. Close the File Browser window from the top right button. Then, from the top navigation ribbon, click Metadata. The metadata points to the database and table we want our dashboard and reports to access. In our example, we have a connection to Athena. Clicking on the Athena section shows we have a named connection that we've created. Here is the database we saw earlier in our example Syntasa app. Clicking on the database, we can see the table we're interested in using for our reports. Click and select the table and drag it into this working section. Once complete, we need to save this metadata into the metadata folder we created earlier. Click the Save icon, then the Save As option. We see the file browser and our folders. Navigating to our subfolder metadata, we're going to name this file Metadata Tutorial and click the Save Metadata button. We'll then get a confirmation that the metadata was saved successfully. Now that we have our metadata created, we're ready to create our first report. From the navigation ribbon, click on the Report section. The first step to creating a report is to connect it to the metadata. Click the Connect to Metadata button and select the metadata we saved in our folders. We can either double-click or right-click the file to select it. We will now see the table we set up in our metadata connection listed here. Double-click on the table to see the columns representing the dimensions, metrics, and measures created in the app we previously reviewed. To build our report, we can begin by selecting a couple of elements. Let's select a date and an ID field. There are several things we can do here, but let's go through some of the basics. To rename the field, we can double-click on the field and set it to a user-friendly value instead of the long string. For this ID field, if we run the report now, we're going to see the ID values associated with each of the dates. But instead of the ID values, maybe we want to count the number of ID values per date. So, to change the field to a count, we click on the field, select Count, and we can remove Group By. We can also rename the field to Count. We can refresh the report by clicking the chart icon at the top. Now we see we've got a nice table showing days and counts per date. So let's save this as our first report. Click the Save icon and the Save As option again, and we will save this as Date Table under the Reports folder we created earlier. Now let's change the style of the report from a table to a bar chart. Click on the bar chart icon at the top, and the report is now generated as a bar chart. There are other options such as altering the sorting, the structure, and the color of the chart, which will be covered in other videos. We're going to save this as an additional report, so we'll again click Save As and choose our Reports folder to save this as Date Chart. Now let's alter the data to review the information per event type instead of date. We'll remove the date field. Then select the event type field. And then we will rename that as well. Now we can click the donut option to view this data as a donut chart. This new report is displaying each event type as a percentage of the total number of events. Again, we can now save this as its own report. For our final report, let's say we also want to view the total count of events. We can remove the event type field, leaving the count field, and then click the card widget icon to change this report to display as a simple card. Once again, we want to save this report as its own artifact. We've now created 4 reports that we can use to build our dashboard. Now we'll return to the home screen to exit the Reports section, then click on Dashboard Designer. Here we have the freedom to drag and drop and maneuver reports to create our dashboard as we wish. You'll notice there's a tool shelf here on the left-hand side. Clicking on Reports will display the reports we just created. We'll now be able to use these reports to create our dashboard. We can simply drag and drop the reports over to the canvas to start designing our dashboard. Once all the elements are on the dashboard, we can collapse the sidebar to allow full visibility of the dashboard. When we need to re-access the tool shelf, there's an icon here to toggle it back on. On the dashboard canvas, we can drag the report elements to arrange them and resize them to create a dashboard that will be visually appealing and useful in presenting the data. In addition to the reports that present the data, we also have several options for the design of the dashboard. Right-clicking on the background of the dashboard, we can see these options. For example, we can add a header to the dashboard. Let's add one that indicates the classification for this dashboard. We can center the text and add a background color to it as well. Now we have our green background header on the dashboard. We can also add a title to the dashboard by adding a text box. Let's just call this Dashboard Title. Once added, we can resize and move the object like we can do with the report objects. So those are just the basics for creating a dashboard, but there are other options such as changing the background color, adding images, and applying style sheets. Once completed, we need to save the dashboard like we have saved our metadata and reports by clicking the Save icon and the Save As option. Going back to the home screen and navigating through File Browser to our Dashboards folder, we see 2 objects for our new dashboard. The first, the magic wand icon, is the one to select if you want to edit the dashboard. The second, the file icon, is the one to select for a view-only mode of the dashboard. With our dashboard complete, we can share the dashboard with the team as a dashboard card within the Syntasa application. That is a quick overview of creating visualizations within the Syntasa application. If you have any questions, please reach out to us, and we will provide more details. Thank you.